The College Board, through their AP CSP Principles Guidelines, provides specific instructions to the students about what they may and may not do, specifically with regard to the performance task. And here's a capture of the 4 specific things that are said that the students should not do when they're creating or working through those performance assessments. They include collaborating on the video of any of the written responses. So the video of the program running or the artifact that they're creating or the written responses are to be the work of the student. So it's not something they should do with other students. It's something they should be doing individually so that they are assessed for their own work. They also are not allowed to submit any work that's been revised, amended, or corrected by another individual, with the exception of cited program code. And that specifically is saying no direct feedback can be provided to the students for the work that they're doing for the performance task submissions. They cannot use a practice performance task that has been used either. Student work from a practice performance task as your official submission to the College Board to be scored by the AP program. So there are many opportunities in the Project Lead the Way CSP curriculum to practice both the Explore and the Create tasks. But those projects that have been worked on should not be used as part of the official submission to the College Board, because those would have been completed with instruction and guidance provided by the teacher in the curriculum. And finally, students are not allowed to seek assistance or feedback to the answers to the prompts that they have to write. So again, opportunity should be provided to the students to practice writing prompts, but when they're actually writing prompts and writing answers to the prompts for their performance task submissions, it should be their own voice, their own words, without any other feedback provided to them as they do that. So that they can be authentically assessed by the College Board for what knowledge and skills they've gained during the process. To try to think about what is acceptable and not acceptable within the bounds of these performance tasks, there are a few slides here that present some situations that I'm going to go through and discuss whether it's okay or not okay in the classroom. So feel free to pause between these and think about and discuss, if you're with anyone else, to decide whether or not it's okay or not okay to do these things. So the first scenario is that teachers has students submit complete practice performance tasks and submit them for feedback throughout the course. Is this okay or not okay? This would be an example of something that's okay, because it is definitely encouraged for the students to complete practice performance tasks throughout the course, and then for teachers to give them feedback so that they know how they're doing, how close to the rubrics they're falling with their work, so that when it's time for them to complete the actual performance tasks, they have some experience so that they can put towards it. Student chooses one of the projects they used for practice of tasks during the year and adds some more to it and then submits it for a performance task. Would this be okay or not okay? This would not be okay. Students should not just take something they've already started and make some changes and then pretend that that is original work that they did in their performance task. So if they've done something in a project, that should be considered not a topic or a problem that they can pursue when it gets to the actual performance task, if it's something that they've already done as practice during the year. Student uses code that they found online in their Create performance task submission. Is this okay or not okay? This one is okay, but I put a caveat here. It's okay if they cite the source and they don't claim it as their own work. And probably in additional, it should be pointed out that it shouldn't be the real substance of their project. It has to be an addition to what they're doing, but the significant portions of their project, the things that make the project what it is, should be work that the student has done. And of course, any work that they use that's not specifically their own should be cited so that they're giving proper attribution to those who created it. Student uses an idea that another student used for a practice task and does their own version of the project. Is this okay or not okay? This one would be okay so long as they are actually just taking the idea and doing their own version of it. The ideas are open for all to use. So the ideas also should not be specified for the students for the performance task. It should be open for them to decide. Now, it should be original work that the students are working on for their project, but simply using an idea that someone else worked on but they did not would not be prohibited within the performance tasks. Two students exchange code from different projects they worked on during the year, make small changes, and submit them as their work. Hopefully, obviously, this is not okay. If they're making only small changes on code that they did not do themselves and claiming the work to be theirs, this is blatant plagiarism and making or submitting work that they're claiming to be their own that really is not. So students should be watched and held accountable for that. This is quite different than a student using an idea that another student worked on, or even getting some assistance from another student. If they're actually claiming work that's not theirs to be theirs, that is not okay. Teacher or teacher's assistant reviews the practice performance task submissions and provides suggestions for revision or improvement on the project. Is this okay or not okay? This would be okay and even encouraged. Teachers and teachers' assistants should facilitate lots of practice for the performance task, and they should provide feedback and suggestions on those so that the students can learn from what they're doing and learn how that they can make it better to have the best possible submissions for the performance tasks that they will complete. Teacher's assistant proofreads written responses to prompts before a student submits their performance task. Okay or not okay? This would not be okay. Even though it's not the classroom teacher, it's specifically prohibited for the students to get any feedback or assistance on their written responses for the performance tasks. So even the teacher's assistant should not be able to proofread or provide feedback on those responses. They should be purely the student's work. Okay or not okay, after a student submits their final task to the teacher notices that they forgot to indicate their code in the proper way. The teacher returns it to and says that they should fix it. Despite wanting to be able to help the student, this would not be okay. Once the student has submitted their work, it has to be considered to be final, and the teacher should not be able to give any feedback specifically to a student about what they did, even if it's something that they saw that they were missing. Okay or not okay, teacher as teacher's assistant makes reminders to the entire class before submission of tasks to go over the required items for the tasks. This would be okay, and again, even encouraged. Specific feedback to specific students is not okay. But if a teacher or teacher's assistant wants to give general encouragement and instruction to the entire class so that it's not specific feedback, that is definitely okay because they're simply trying to equip all of the class and the students with what they need before the tasks are submitted. Hopefully those help to explain what is acceptable and what things are unacceptable within the bounds of the performance task within the computer science principles. And more information and questions can be found and answered through the AP Computer Science Principles community, which can be found online at AP Central.